sometimes I make the mistake of kind of projecting in the sense of like, well, I get this stuff. This is all common sense to me. So obviously they get it too, right? But I have to remind myself, but maybe not everybody has gotten this yet, right? Maybe not everyone's connecting to just how important this truth is, that all things exist in relationship. So, I've talked about before how the concept of oneness can be challenging to integrate into our awareness. If I say, hey guys, all you got to do to reach fourth density consciousness is realize that all is one. So go ahead. And to the mind, it's just another concept, right? All is one. And the mind only knows how to compare objects with each other. And it's like, oh, the tree looks very different than the garbage truck driving by, than the person on the street. Like, I don't see oneness. This is crazy talk. And so we need another framework, right? To allow the mind a bridge to fourth density consciousness, something that it cannot refute, right? Something that's undeniable in our experience. And so I want to reemphasize this again, guys. This framework is it. I am giving you the keys to the kingdom with this one teaching. Lean into this. Give your whole heart to this. Be attentive to this teaching and pay attention to this teaching because it holds everything you're looking for. How can we go about realizing through the mind? Because it's only the mind that needs to realize it ultimately. Spirit already knows oneness. How do we get the mind to start accepting oneness? Well, we give it an easier framework to look through, which is that all things exist in relationship. Everything is cooperation. Yeah. We live in a universe, we could say, of causation, right? Everything's causing everything else. Whatever event happens, doesn't matter what it is, down to the quantum level, up to the macro cosmic level, anything that happens, any event, we can look at that event and trace what caused it, right? Basic science. Everything has a cause. Everything is causational in our universe. So if everything were not connected, joined in relationship, then nothing could cause anything, right? What's more practical than that? If there was actually separation, nothing could even happen in the universe because everything depends on everything else. So the framework I want you to see, this discussion we continue to have, that all things exist in relationship, and to be in the state of giving and receiving is how we join in that relationship. To make that even more easily comprehensible, let's look at the universe through the law of, we'll just call it vibration. Yeah, the law of vibration. This was Nikola Tesla's famous quote. If you want to understand the nature of the universe, you must think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. And that's because everything in the universe is in constant motion. This is what Tesla proved and talked a lot about. Everything is vibrating. Yeah, everything is vibrating. The cells in our body are vibrating. The quantum particles are vibrating. Zoom all the way out. The planets are vibrating. The stars are vibrating around the galaxy. The galaxy is vibrating in motion. Everything is motion and energy and vibration. So that's because we have these two pairs of opposites, the polarities as we call them. And polarity, guys, is such an important metaphysical concept to really get, because it is the framework through which you can see everything in the universe identically. You can see the law of polarity in everything. And to see that one law in everything is to see oneness, right? If you're seeing the law of vibration happening everywhere, that's a type of oneness, right? So the polarities, positive, negative, as we talk a lot about here in 40U, the pair of opposites exist only by constantly canceling one another out. They're constantly exchanging energy with each other. Expand, contract, charge, discharge, attraction, repulsion. These two movements are always happening, like a heartbeat in the universe. So like we could see the two polarities like children on a seesaw, because polarity invites the mind into judgment, right? Very easily, where the mind wants to make one polarity bad and the other polarity good. And then we have attraction and aversion, right? So we want to see both polarities as equally divine, because they are, because everything exists in relationship, the relationship of the polarities. Everything happens by the positive, negative energies that thrust away from each other to build the whole universe that we see. So it's like two little children on a seesaw. And it's as if the two children are saying to each other, you know, by ourselves, we can't really exist or do anything or create anything. But if we work together in relationship, we can create the whole universe. How cool is that? Whatever you do, I'll just do the opposite. And so it'll always appear as if we exist independently, but our secret is we're both working together, right? So positive charges, negative discharges, and then that gives the vibration that the universe needs to go on to exist. So we see the manifestation of the two polarities everywhere in the universe. We see it in our body in the form of a heartbeat, circulation of breath, inhalation, exhalation. That's also the law of vibration. Again, we talked about Earth's rotation, Earth's orbit. Everything is vibration. So everything is exchanging energy. What is that? That's relationship. Right? When something stops exchanging energy, we say that that thing is dead, don't we? When motion stops, when relationship stops, flatline, we call it death. And really that's just a returning to source to be, you know, recharged back into the universe in a new form. But from the law of one's context, we always talk about polarization. We're trying to positively polarize. What does that mean? It means we have to move away from the negative, right? Because the polarities moving away from each other is polarization. The farther away they go from one another, the more polarized they become, the stronger their charges get. And the closer they get to each other, the weaker the charge. So that's why Ra calls third density the sinkhole of indifference, because most human beings on this planet are still choosing their polarity. Now, everyone here has chosen their polarity, obviously, or you wouldn't be on this call. So now what we're doing here in 4D University is we're trying to refine our choice. We're trying to increase our polarity to become fourth density positive. So the pair of opposites create things, but they're not things in and of themselves, right? They cause everything to happen, but they're not the happening. They are two mutually opposed conditions, which exist forever in rhythmic balanced interchange, as Walter Russell says. So let's look now through that understanding of polarity being everything. Let's look back at giving and receiving for a second. Can you see how in giving and receiving, you have fulfilled both polarities? Can you see that? You are allowing the universal law of vibration to continue through you. And that's like the melody of creation, right? So if everything exists in relationship, we ought to be really concerned of how can I join that relationship that's going on, that endless flow of relationship in the universe. I want to be a part of that. And to do that, we say, just be in the state of giving and receiving. Or we could say, don't be in the state of taking and keeping. Because in giving and receiving, we fulfill positive, negative, right? Giving is radiating, outgoing. Negative is inward moving, absorbing. So that's the give and the receive, right? So you see how the negative is just as divine as the positive, not to be rejected, not to be, to feel aversion towards, but to be fully embraced, just as we embrace the positive. So in giving and receiving, both polarities are fulfilled in the law of vibration, which means you're in dharma. You know, you're not generating karma anymore, but dharma. So every action has an equal and opposite reaction. Even thought has an opposite reaction. Subtle energy, everything has an opposite reaction to it. So unless you're in giving and receiving, then you're going to be violating the law of vibration, because you're going to be in taking and keeping. You're not letting that equal opposite interchange of balance happen. You're trying to take and possess and withhold to yourself. That's ego consciousness. That's third density consciousness. So giving and receiving, we have positive, negative, perfect balance. Law of balance is fulfilled. Taking and keeping, negative, negative. You see that? Ego's thought system is taking and keeping. What can I take and what can I keep to myself? What can I withhold? So it's the opposite of giving and receiving. So now you're generating karma, right? Because everything is seeking a balanced position between the two polarities. So that's why spiritual balancing, as taught in the Law of One and as we teach it here, is really about accepting both polarities and realizing both of their functions are holy and divine and to be accepted, right? Both positive and negative equally serves my evolution. So this is why we stress the practice of the three beliefs, because the practice of the three beliefs is the way that we teach spiritual balancing in 4D University. We say, when you feel a negative emotion, accept it as a helpful messenger of truth, right? Embrace that negative feeling as a messenger, right? It's here to warn you of a mistake you're making. So do you resent somebody for warning you of a mistake that you're making? How silly would that be, right? Someone who's warning you of a mistake you're making is clearly a friend, aren't they? So negative feelings are also friends, but they do have a certain role to fill. They're trying to warn us about our incorrect perceptions. So welcoming and thanking the negatively polarized messenger of truth, we then turn to the positive by thinking of a truthful thought, which will generate a positive emotion. And that's how our emotional guidance system says, ding, 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 you correctly perceived yourself now. You've corrected the imbalance in your mind. So nothing has been rejected, everything has been used and thanked and accepted, and balance has been restored, right? Giving and receiving. But here's the difficult part about spiritual balancing, is that a negative emotion isn't supposed to feel good, right? Like the migraine I had last weekend, it wasn't supposed to feel good. It's performing a certain function of detoxification. So if I had any expectation of it going away or feeling better, that would be a kind of aversion. I need to fully accept the migraine as it is and thank it for its purpose, because everything in the universe is serving a purpose. So a negative emotion isn't supposed to feel good because that's not its purpose. That's the purpose of a positive emotion, right? It's function to be an alarm system and a warning to misdirect your attention from where you're going astray, cause you to take self-inventory, right? That's the purpose of the negative. And then positive emotions are supposed to feel good because they signal that you're on the right track. So we're always being told when we're going off track, and we're always being told when we're going on the right track. Thinking in alignment with reality, obeying the eternal law of vibration. Obeying the law has benefits, just as violating the law has consequences, right? And that's how perfect balance is always kept in the universe. This is what karma is. So in that sense, the negative polarity is also good, right? We only suffer from it because we're not in right relationship to it. You see that? We suffer from negative feelings, negative thoughts, because we're in a wrong relationship to them. We're in attraction or aversion, right? Taking or keeping. We want to resist, reject, deny, control the negative. And so we're not allowing it to fulfill its function. So all we have to do is be in right relationship to the negative. And then it becomes our greatest catalyst and teacher. So when we're in wrong relationship to the negative polarity, we are violating the law of vibration, aren't we? We're trying to make an unequal balance of positive energy. And so this is just the way that karma works. To the same extent that you violate the law of vibration will violate you to the exact measurement, because it has to keep balance. And that violating you is the negative karma we attract. You've got to pay off that karmic debt because you violated the law. So how simple is it to just be in giving and receiving? To just make that a practice, to imbue that as our default state, where taking and keeping feels immediately uncomfortable when we slip into that mode. If a thought about taking and keeping, if a thought of resistance comes up, then we just notice it as, oh, that's not giving and receiving. And you say, I forgive that thought. Just an old pattern, no big deal. But we do have to notice it, because it's trying to permeate its way into our state of being. And you are the guardian of your state of being, right? No one else is going to watch over your state of being for you. So you've got to be vigilant. You've got to keep attention, self-attention, to the thought activity, to the reactions that your mind-body unit's having. And as often as it wants to be in taking and keeping, you just correct it back to giving and receiving. When the body-mind wants to close off to creation and violate the law of vibration, you say, oh, no, we don't do that anymore, because we know there's nothing to resist. We know there's nothing to fear in this universe. We open our heart to everything. We're always in the state of giving and receiving. So in that way, to transcend the negative, we must come to love the negative. Do you see that? To transcend the negative polarity is to love it, to see its function, to see its purpose, to understand its purpose and accept its purpose. And as we do that, we have integrated it or transcended it, right? We're using it according to its purpose. So being in loving relationship with everything, remaining always in the state of giving and receiving, that's how we reach fourth density, you guys. That's the only practice we need, is this one devotion to being in loving relationship to everything, because everything is God, yeah? Everything is the divine, everything is the beloved, expressing in its infinite amount of multiple forms and varieties and expressions. So to judge, to resist anything in the universe is to judge or resist part of God. So we take ourselves out of relationship when we do that. So this is why relationship is the easiest framework to integrate the awareness of oneness. Forget about oneness as a concept. You don't need the concept. You just need to see relationship happening all around you. We were talking about this with a few of us in the 40U community this week. Somebody asked, like, how do I see, my old dusty keyboard that's sitting on the shelf? How is that in relationship? And I said, well, it's in relationship to the shelf that's supporting it, that it's sitting on. It's in relationship to the dust particles that it's attracted. It's all the particles inside of that keyboard are in constant relationship of giving and receiving energy to have a form be there called keyboard. And then your mind is in relationship to it, right? Every time you see it, you think, oh, should I sell that or should I use it? There's relationship happening everywhere. But are you looking for it? And do you love to practice being in loving relationship more than anything? Do you love to be in giving and receiving? Do you love to notice when you're not in it and to get back into it again? Is this the most interesting thing you can think about doing? Well, then you, my friend, are strapped to a rocket ship blasting into the fourth density. When this becomes the best thing you can imagine doing in any moment, it's over for the ego. It's only a matter of time before full 4D consciousness is integrated, because all that consciousness is the awareness of love and relationship through all things. And that's what oneness is, right? Oneness doesn't mean everything's identical. There's no uniqueness happening anywhere. It's all one, bland, same thing. That's maybe ego's interpretation of oneness, but oneness doesn't mean there's no uniqueness. Oh boy, look around you. We are in a universe of endless uniqueness, endless individuality, yeah? Oneness means all uniqueness, all individuality is in relationship to everything. Everything is in relationship. And so relationship is oneness, right? Not form, not objects, but the relationship of all form and all objects, right? We talked about space is like love. Space holds everything. Space is unconditional and omnipresent, just like love. So everything's in relationship to space at the very least. So can you just see that relationship happening? And then can you be devoted? Oh, how beautiful to see that everything is like holding hands in heaven. Everything is one. Everything is in full cooperation to be what it is. And I am also in that relationship. Oh, what a blissful realization. Can you love this practice more than you love eating food? You know, breathing oxygen? Can it be your everything? Can it be your heart's cry when you wake up to be in a deeper loving relationship than ever before? And that's fourth density, isn't it?